Hi, Mark the Monarch Man, aka Fussy, and welcome to another Live with Fussy. And today the topic is very popular, rollers. And sometimes I often get asked about rollers because there's so many fabrics and naps to choose from. And we're going to take you through that and show you how simple it is to understand rollers. Firstly though, let's look at a couple of different types of fabrics. You've got your budget throwaway roller, and the problem with them is they don't deliver any quality, and for my opinion, too many people use those. The most popular word when you talk about fabrics in rollers these days is definitely microfiber, and I'm going to take you through fabulous range of Monarch ultra microfiber rollers in a sec. But before I do, a couple of other fabrics you might not be familiar with. There's one called seamless foam or foam. Painters like me used to love using foam when we painted old oil-based enamel on doors. Not because they're better than microfiber, they're just cheaper. So what you do is you use one for the first coat, throw it away and get another one for the second. Then another fabric that painters love to use is lamb's wool. The reason painters love it is because what they do with lamb's wool is they get the job done quicker because it picks up and releases even more paint. But they're hard to use. If you want success when you paint, the greatest fabric you could possibly use is no doubt microfiber. So let me take you through, because as you can see here, there's 4 different types. And this relates to a word called nap. Now a nap might be something I'm going to do this afternoon at about 4 o'clock, trust me I will, but when it comes to rollers, the nap means the thickness of the roller, and there are differences with each one, and a different nap roller is designed for a special project. If we look at the red one first, the red canister says doors. Now what you want when you paint a door is a silky smooth finish with a lovely thin layer of paint. This is a 4mm nap, the thinnest nap you can get, and it delivers a super smooth finish. The other end of the scale, rough and textured surfaces like a brick wall. You need to paint the brick, you need to get in between the bricks, or even painting render. This is a 20mm nap, 5 times the thickness of the door roller. It's not about smooth, it's about getting it on. The most popular roller is when you paint walls and ceilings. And this one is a 12mm nap, so it's in between the nap for the door and the rough and textured. And what it's brilliant at is, it's thick enough with 12mm nap to do beautiful coats on your ceilings, but it's smooth enough to get a fantastic finish on your walls. 3 dedicated naps for dedicated projects. Now there is an all-purpose, which is a 9mm nap, and it sits in between the door thickness and the wall and ceiling. Personally, I would rather use the right roller for the right project to get that magnificent finish. Now, talking about rollers and ultra microfiber rollers, what we want to do though is give you a couple of little tips about not only the right roller to use, but how to make the roller work best. Little tip from a painter. This one in here is a door roller, so it's the little 4mm nap. But before you use it, I want you to give it a quick rinse under a tap for about a minute or 2. Why? Because the roller works better if it's slightly wet. Then what I want you to do is squeeze out as much water out of the roller as you can, and then the absolute best thing to do before you load it with paint, little painter's tip here, get yourself a towel, pop a towel on the floor in front of your door or wall at home, and then get your roller, spin the roller down the door a couple of times, and then all you simply have to do is wipe off the excess, and then we're good to start rolling. Now, I've taken the liberty, because what I'd like to do is to show you how easy it is to roll a door with one of these beautiful rollers. I've taken the liberty to cut in along the bottom with my brush. I'm going to get my roller tray, which I've already prepared. And now I'm going to show you the right way to load your roller. So I've got paint in the well of the tray, but I don't have any paint on the grill, because that area is used to run my roller up and down to get a nice even spread of paint around my roller. You don't swing it in there, no need to do that. Now, because I want that perfect finish with the door, this is only 4mm, so it's going to put on a very thin film. And in fact, a lesson is, it'll probably do, each loaded roller will only do 1/4 of the door. Now, I don't want you to start at the top like everybody does. Put your first 1/4 of the door at the bottom. And the reason we do this is because this is a water-based enamel. It's a beautiful product, but it dries super quick. And what you don't want to see is any join marks. So by working up the door, as you get closer to the top where everybody sees, that will be the most wet bit of paint, and it's going to be super easy to get a perfect finish. I'll load for the third time. So now we've done 3 sections. Again, it's putting on a super thin film of paint. We load one more time. And now what we do is the top quarter of the door. The roller is super effortless in the way it puts paint on. And the thing I love about this, it's not putting on a thick coat of paint. It's giving me a lovely thin film. And remember, we're going to do 2 coats. Now, the best secret I can give you, and we've got a question coming through, by the way. So let's see if we can sort this out. I'm only doing a small project. It doesn't seem worth getting a quality roller. Well, if I relate that to this door, that is a small project. If you go and buy a budget roller and you paint your doors with that, and you buy beautiful paint, you've wasted your money, because you're going to get fluff on the door. It won't put it on silky smooth like this roller. So do yourself a favour, a better quality roller will make paint look fantastic. Now, what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to show you how I lay this door off perfectly to get rid of any of those roller marks. I rolled sideways at the bottom just to get rid of the cutting in from the brush. I haven't got any more paint on my roller, and I'm going to go like this, from the bottom, straight up, straight down, and I'm going to do that again, in a straight line. Come across a roller width, and you do that again. And what we're doing now is, we're not putting any more paint on, we're smoothing out the paint that is already there. And it's getting rid of any roller marks, it's getting rid of any roller joins, and more importantly, it's making it look like that this door was painted by a professional painter. There's no joins, sensational. 4mm microfiber, beautiful. Another question coming through. When painting doors, should I just use a roller? 2 types of doors. A flat door like that, you most definitely use a roller like I just did. But if you've got a panel door like this, where you've got mouldings as well, use a brush in the mouldings and then get yourself a mini roller in the same 4mm microfiber to do the flat bits. Perfect. Okay, that shows you how to do a door, and seriously, that door looks outstanding. We'll let that dry. I'm going to pull this one out now, because what I want to talk about now is, and we'll change our paint, what about when we roll walls? Okay, going back to our green roller, wall and ceiling roller, 12mm nap, microfiber. Here's one I've already prepared, and I want you to notice it's already got paint in it, and that's a canister. So we'll take the roller out of here, we'll get our little handle. Now that roller's been in there since yesterday, still nice and moist. Tap that roller on, beautiful. Now, the alfoil on the tray, by the way, folks, the alfoil allows me to store the roller tray with paint in it for a couple of hours at least without it drying out. Fantastic idea. Now, same principle applies. We're going to load our roller with some paint. I'm not dipping it in there and swimming it. I run it up and down the grill of the tray. And now what we'll do, I want you to pretend this is a wall, albeit a real small one. It's probably out of my house. I live in a little tiny house because I'm tiny. I've cut in around the edges because you always cut in before you roll. Now when you roll, you read these colour cards and brochures that say, do V's and W's. I don't want you to do that. I'm going to show you a perfect way to roll, and it's going to make it better because you'll get better coverage from your roller. I want you to start in the middle. Roll straight up the wall, straight down the wall, so sort of up 1/2 metre and down 1/2 metre, then roll all the way to the top to meet your cutting in without hitting the ceiling, and then roll down to the bottom. What I call that is one roller width, straight up and down, easy, the roller does the work. We've got another question coming through. The last time I painted my walls, I had to put 4 coats of paint on. Where did I go wrong? I'll tell you exactly where you went wrong. You would have bought budget rollers because you would have gone, I'm just going to use it and throw it away. It doesn't put paint on silky smooth like that. What happens is, A, you've got to do extra coats, and another reason, by the way, is because you might try and roll too far. This 2 roller width strategy will stop that happening. So I've done 1 roller width there. I'm going to do a second one next to it. Up, down, up to the top, down to the bottom. Now what I want you to imagine is on a full width wall, that is 2 roller widths. Remember this rule. A standard quality roller like this, wall and ceiling roller for Monarch, will do 2 roller widths. That's enough. So now before we reload and do another 2 roller widths, do what I did on the door. Go to the bottom, all the way up and all the way down. And again, we're not putting any more paint on. We're just making what's on there look like a professional did it. Do the other roller width again, next to that. And that is absolutely sensational. Now, let's say you're finished. I want to do more of this, so let's imagine I've rolled the whole wall. For the sake of the exercise, we'll just do that. But you've done 1 coat, and unfortunately what's happened is you've run out of time, or you have to go out somewhere and you want to do this again tomorrow. Everyone thinks, oh no, I've got to wash my roller out. No, you don't. Load some paint on your roller. Why? That means it's nice and moist. Then what I want you to do, and we'll just clear this table a little here, we're going to get ourselves our roller cling wrap, and we're simply going to wrap this up in some cling wrap. It's going to stay moist, and I can use that again tomorrow. Job done. Now that will not dry out. We've got another question coming through. I've got a lamb's wool roller and I use it for everything. Should I not use lamb's wool for walls and ceilings? If you know what you're doing, like a professional painter, sure, you can use lamb's wool, but you've got to know what you're doing. Because lamb's wool will go further, but it doesn't give you a smooth finish easily. You have to do what painters call lay it off, and you have to lay it off really well. If you want to make your project simple, go to the Monarch Ultra Microfiber. So much easier to use. Now, a little bit about storage. The interesting thing is I said you can do that overnight, which you can, but what about if it's the weekend and you're not painting until next weekend? Now you think, I have to wash it out. No. Get yourself some alfoil. Remember, we loaded the roller first with paint to make it last longer. We wrapped it in cling wrap. Now what I want you to do, folks, wrap it in that foil. Store it somewhere cool, like on a garage floor, somewhere where it's not going to get heat or sun. That will not go hard for the whole week. Now I'm talking about water-based paint. Easy there, easy solution. We're not wasting, by the way, when you do wash rollers out, if you do that every night, you're wasting a lot of paint. Also, you're wasting a lot of water and you're wasting a lot of time. Get yourself a quality roller, you can store them, and you know what? When you finish the project, you can actually wash them out and use them again. We have another question coming through. Thanks, where can I buy all those high quality rollers? Well, Monarch premium quality rollers are available in any serious paint stockist. Your Bunnings warehouses have plenty of them. Independent paint stores, they all have quality Monarch microfiber rollers. Not a problem in the world. And like I said, not only are they great quality, but if you follow those little tips, start the door at the bottom, start the walls in the middle and roll straight up and down, you'll end up getting a finish like a professional like me. Now, I think there's another question coming through. No? Okay. I think what I'd like to do now is to say to everybody, quality rollers work. The little tips I gave you are definitely gold. And what I want you to understand is, painting is not difficult. Everyone thinks it's hard. Question. When painting ceilings, how many coats of paint do I need to apply? See, that is a perennial good question. The problem gets back to 2 things. If you're rolling your ceilings and you want to get 2 coats, which is what you should, quality rollers are critical. The other thing, which is why I stressed when I painted walls about that 2 roller widths, keep that sort of length and area up on your ceiling as well. The biggest problem I find when I see people doing 3 and 4 coats is definitely, one, they're using the wrong roller, and secondly, they're spreading the paint too far. Quality roller The wall and ceiling roller will do your ceilings beautifully. And imagine that 2 roller widths up onto your ceiling and you'll get perfect coverage, and you'll only do 2 coats. Another question. Poor old me, need my glasses, can't read. Let's see what we've got this time. I also want to paint concrete render. Which roller should I use? So if we go back to what I said earlier about rough and textured surfaces, render, brickwork, you have no doubt the thicker the roller, the more success you're going to have. Because the thicker the roller, the more paint it picks up, the more paint it puts on, and it gets in between those nook and crannies of not only your mortar in between your bricks, but also the nook and crannies in between render. So the thicker the roller, the better. And a little tip about that as well, don't try and spread it too far. Render surfaces, concrete surfaces, they're really thirsty. Don't try and spread it too far. That's going to make your job super easy. So the summary of this is, ultra microfiber is definitely the easiest roller to use. Microfiber, just so you know, does 3 things. Number 1, super easy to use. Number 2, smooth finish every single time. And number 3, unlike budget rollers, you don't get any fluff. It doesn't ruin your paint finish. Want to paint like a pro? Monarch Ultra Microfiber. Now, don't forget, go onto our Monarch Painting website, have a look at our House of Monarch. There's some fantastic projects and tips and ideas on the House of Monarch. I want to say thanks for joining us on another edition of Live with Fussy, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Welcome to the House of Monarch. I'm Mark the Monarch Man. They call me Fussy. I'm an ex-professional painter and I'm super fussy about painting. And I love to give tips and tricks to get that professional finish.
I'm Amy. I'm a tradie with a flair for design. I'm passionate about renovation and love getting my hands dirty.
We've got a hold of this family home. The family's outgrown it and it's in need of some TLC.
We're going to renovate it, open it up and style it room by room.
Together, we're going to show you how easy it is to declutter with the perfect storage solutions.
Freshen up a room and add a touch of style with a splash of colour and the right coat of paint.
And change the look and feel of a room with wallpaper.
Add value to your kitchen and bathroom.
And make awkward spaces family friendly.
We will also give you plenty of inspirational tips along the way.